1% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't live the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and then they sent me where the life is be. That level 4 with depth and vice, the type of stuff they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee. I refuse to die a chump. I never been a mark, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get punked, and some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5 year-long racial fights when homie all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, AB skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF, the Kumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. That MS was loony, quick to ride up on they rival. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in a Bible. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damus, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IE, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pyrus, the Hustlers quick to roll, the gangsters gon' move, whatever click you choose. So let's hop right into today's video. So I'm gonna be talking about how I got sent down to a level 2, and I was on a level 2 a few months and got sent right back to a level 4 180. I talk about that entire situation in a video called Chill versus Goliath Part 1 and Part 2 if you want to check that out in its entirety, right? So on this particular day, I'll never forget, it was June 15th, 2004. The Lakers had just lost the NBA championships to the Detroit Pistons, right? I get into an altercation that eventually leads me to being charged with a stabbing in prison. So now, as I'm sitting handcuffed, they took me to the MTA to check me and see if I had any, any injuries or wounds. And as I'm being escorted from the MTA to the program office, me and the guard who's escorting me, we get into it. Now I'm handcuffed, mind you. He eventually slams me on the ground. They hit the alarm again. Another black lieutenant runs out there. He tells the dude, okay, I got him. They take me in the program office, right? So as I'm sitting up in the program office for a bit, a lieutenant comes up in there. He tries to ask me a couple questions about the stabbing that I'm being charged with. Of course, I'm sitting there playing dumb, telling him I didn't have anything to do with it. Eventually, he says, okay, well, man, listen, you don't have to worry about that other thing. You beat that. We're not supposed to charge you with that, man. But you are going to go to the hole for the resisting staff, right? So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So they take me to the hole. I stay in the hole a while, right? So maybe I'm in the hole about a week. A guard comes over there and says, hey, man, we got some stuff going on, because at that time I didn't have a cellie. We need to give you a cellie. He has me talk to a couple of people, and eventually they put me in a cell with a dude by the name of Hoover Mike from Hoover. Now, even though I'm sitting in the hole because I had came from the 2-yard, Hoover Mike had came from the level 4 180. Now, actually, Hoover Mike was the MAC rep. The MAC rep is an acronym that stands for Men's Advisory Council. And what a MAC rep is basically he's like a liaison between the convicts and the administration. He may take grievances that the convicts have to the administration, or, the administration may have something that they want, talk to the convicts about. So pretty much a MAC rep just works in that capacity. Now, so like I said, he's coming from the level 4. So after we're sitting up in there, we chilling, we didn't got acquainted or whatever, we're talking. He's telling me about everything that's happening over there on the level 4, because at this point, I hadn't been on a level 4 in about 8 years, right? And so while he was in the hole and doing his MAC rep duties, and this dude had a life sentence, he probably was about 46, 47, had got 75, 80 to life. This dude was extremely angry and antagonistic toward, law enforcement, man. This dude really was hating law enforcement, right? And so in doing his job, well, what happened is, so on that yard one day, you had some Southerners get into it. They had some type of Southerner related issue. So they put the yard down and the police was getting that under wraps. Now, after they got that situation quelled and they're walking back to their building, one particular CO happens to walk past a Crip from San Diego. For whatever reason, the Crip jumps up and starts stabbing the police. Now, whatever took place on the yard didn't have anything to do with the blacks or the Crips, but for whatever reason, this dude jumped up, started stabbing the police, right? So after they got that situation under wraps, they put the entire black population on the 4-yard on lockdown. Now, normally when something like that happens, they'll just lock down eventually the group. Like the first day or two, they may lock down everybody, but once they do the investigation and find out, what it was about or where the dude was from, they may just lock down the groups that was involved. But they kept the black population on lockdown for a long time. All the Bloods, Crips, people from up north, everybody, right? So at some point in time, the blacks are saying, hey, man, this is an isolated incident. Why do you have everybody locked down? That dude did what he did, and it was an isolated incident, right? So, and coming back from one of these meetings with the administration, once again finding out that they still was going to keep the blacks on lockdown indefinitely, when he entered the building, because they're locked down, so he's being escorted by the guards. Somebody hollered like, hey, Mike, what's cracking, man? When they gonna let us up? When they gonna let us up? Mike was basically like, oh, man, yeah, man, well, we just gonna have to do what we gonna have to do. They ain't gonna let us up no time soon, so on and so forth. So the guards took that as if he was trying to incite a riot among the black population, and they had locked him up, right? And so that's how me and this dude, well, that's how he wound up coming to the hole, and that's how we were cellies, right? He's waiting to have this write-up that he's gotten heard and figure out what's going to happen to him, right? And so eventually we get cleared to go to the exercise yard. The exercise yard at that point in time was just like separate dog kennels, so you would just be you and your cellie. If you guys wanted to go to the yard, I think it might have been 3 times a week or whatever for a couple of hours, you just in the dog cage walking back and forth exercising. So it really wasn't much to do. I mean, just go outside, get hot and funky, so one day as we're out there, a guard comes out there. He calls out my last name. He said, where you at? I say, I'm right here, So he comes down there. He brings me some paperwork. I had left my glasses in the cell. So once I look over the paperwork, I'm reading that they have charged me with this stabbing that they said they wasn't going to charge me with. So I'm thinking like, damn, man, what the hell is this, right? The first words my eyes happen to register or lock on to is the words DA referral. Now, what a DA referral is, even though you may assault somebody or stab somebody or get caught with some narcotics or whatever in prison, at depending on the incident, they may refer that to the district attorney of that county, and then he will decide whether he wants to charge you and prosecute you as if you done whatever you done on the streets, and you will be going back and forth to court. So I'm like, damn, man, this is crazy, right? The dude told me that I had beat those charges. So once I get back to the cell and I read over the paperwork, then I start feeling okay, comfortable. Man, I got this beat. The write-up was extremely weak, and it said actually the only reason why they thought that I was the perpetrator in this stabbing is because an officer had witnessed an explosive argument between me and the individual they claimed I stabbed, right? Nothing was seen except, what he said actually when it jumped off, due to the large group of people, he couldn't see who was stabbing who or whatever. He just saw the other dude reach back and grab his arm or something like that, grab the back of his neck or something like that, reach back with his arm and grab his neck, right? And so as I'm reading that stuff in the cell now, I'm like, okay, yeah, this stuff is weak. I got this beat. Now, in most cases, when you are facing a potential DA referral, most individuals will postpone the prison hearing and wait till they figure out what's going to happen on the street, if they're going to get charged or whatever, right, before they proceed with the prison hearing. But since I felt that case was extremely weak and I could beat that, I went ahead and just said, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and go with this hearing. Now, in the course of all this going on, my cellie, like I said, is extremely antagonistic towards administration. Sometimes we would go to the shower, they would search our cell, and he claimed that they was fucking with him because of his work as a MAC rep on the 4-yard, and due to his charges, so on and so forth. Right now, keep in mind, this is the famous, notorious Corcoran, where they were known for staging fights, having convicts go to the shoe yard, betting on them, then eventually shooting them, right? And man, let me tell you that these were some of the most scandalous guards that I have been around during my time, right? And it was alleged that some of these dudes still had these or had like these cards tattooed on their arm, and I actually seen a couple of those COs who still had those tattoos, right? And the attitude definitely was there, right? And for whatever reason, it seemed like a lot of these guards at this particular prison did not like Southerners. Maybe because this prison was located in
a territory geographically that's known as Northern Territory, and maybe some of these guards were from these cities or whatever. But I saw some of these guards openly display disdain towards Southerners for whatever reason, right? And so as my cellie is getting into it every time we go to the shower, they take us to the shower. You know, our cell is getting searched. He's arguing and getting into it to the point where it was a northern dude in there who sent a kite saying, "Hey man, listen, I got a knife for you guys if you guys want to stab the police, right?" My cellie Hoover Mike, though, he refused that. He said, "Oh no, I'm good on all that," right? He didn't want that type of smoke, right? So I'm up in there. One day they call me for my hearing. So I go to the hearing, right? So as I'm handcuffed, I'm being escorted over there. They take me in the room. They sit me down. The lieutenant asked me. He asked the guard. He say, "Excuse me, man. I just got one question. Has this dude gave you any problems? You know, up in here?" And now I'm wondering, like, what the hell is this dude gonna say? Because, like I said, my cellie has been getting into it, arguing back and forth with these guards, right? And the dude said, "Seriously, Lieutenant? No." And so the lieutenant says, "Okay, sit down, man." He reads over, he reads over my 115. He says, "I find you not guilty." He didn't tell me to say anything. Normally if you want to, they give you a chance where you can, explain or try to, make an argument for yourself or whatever. He just said, "Man, I find you not guilty." He said, "Had you been back here fucking up, I would have found your ass guilty and let you, fight it from the shoe." And I was like, "Damn, that's crazy." I said, "But the write up is weak. It shows, it shows I didn't do nothing." He was like, "Man, I don't give a fuck. Had you been giving my officers any trouble, I would have given your ass a shoe and I would have let you fight it on appeal." And I'm thinking like, damn, that is crazy, right? So they lift me up or whatever, get me up, take me back to the cell. So when I go back to the cell, keep it 100. I'm happy. I'm like, okay, yeah, man, I didn't beat this 115. I'm getting ready to go back to the 2 yard in maybe about 3 or 4 weeks. Because the process is, now that I have been found not guilty, I have to go back to committee. They have to, clear me, see that my charges was dismissed or whatever, then, put me back on the yard. So, now before I came to the hole, like I said, I had got into that confrontation with the guard where they slammed me. They wrote me up for resisting staff. They found me guilty of that. So when he went and dismissed the stabbing charges, he found me guilty of the resisting staff. Then I had got a couple other 115. So now my points was I no longer had level 2 points. I had level 3 points, right? And so I'm waiting, thinking that I'm gonna have to wait maybe about a month to go to classification. But in about a week, they come get me. They tell me, "Hey man, get dressed. You going to classification." I'm like, I'm in my head, I'm like, okay, that's what's up, man. I'm supposed to get an early kick out. So as the guard is escorting me to classification, I hear him tell another guard that there was a riot that jumped off with the Northerners and the Southerners, and this is why I'm getting this early kick out. They're trying to clear people. They're trying to, whoever may have been going back to the yard in a month or two, they're trying to expedite the process so they can free up cell space. So now, like, when I left, maybe you had another black dude who left, they would consolidate him and my cellie or whatever to make room for this large crowd of, Northerners and Southerners that they got coming due to this riot. So when I go in there to the classification little committee thing, it's a few people up in there. They got CC1s, which is just like counselors. They got CC2s who are over the counselors. They got lieutenants. It's gonna be a captain and stuff up in there or whatever. Now, so the lady who's running this procedure, she covers her mouth with some papers and leans over to somebody, a CC1 or whatever, and asks, "Were there any confidentials?" Asking, like, "Did anybody drop any confidentials on me or whatever?" So she says, the lady that she's talking to, or the person that she's talking to, says no. So I'm thinking, okay, this is a good sign. I'm going back to the yard or whatever. So then she starts reading off why I came to the hole, and I was charged with a stabbing. I was found not guilty. I was found guilty of a resisting staff. Before that, I got into this, got into that, and so my points were, her exact words, "are no longer conducive to a level 2. So I'm thinking, okay, damn, I can tell by her tone, right? She's definitely anti-jail, right? And so I'm at Corcoran. Now, Corcoran had many different yards on this big old facility. They had a couple of yards that was a 2 yard. They had some 4 yards up there, and they also had there was a gym on the 4 yard, and they was using that for level 3 convicts, right? If you had level 3 points, you had to go to the gym. So I really didn't want to go to no gym because it was a a bunk bed setting situation type stuff, right? So as this lady is talking, she said, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna send him to the 4-yard 180. So as she's talking all this, right? So she said whatever she said. Then they asked me if I had anything to say. I said, well, yeah, I don't understand. If I got level 3 points, why are you sending me to a level 4 180? Because in order to go to especially a level 4 180, it's a whole kick out yard. You have to go to the hole and be found guilty of a sureable offense in order to go to a level 4 180. The resisting staff was not an offense that they could give me a shoe for, right? So I say what I say. She cut me off. She say, well, basically, listen, you're gonna have to shut your mouth and roll with the big dogs. Basically, like, shut your ass up, get your ass on that 4-yard. You know what I'm saying? So just the tone of what she says, and by the way she said, it made me irate, right? And I can't remember exactly what I said, but I said something to the tone of, I don't care. I done been on a 4-yard before. And if somebody get out of line, I'll be right back over here for another stabbing, right? She really didn't like that. So she said what she said, basically, like, get his ass up out of here, right? So they escorted me out, took me back to the cell, right? So now I'm talking to my cellie. I'm like, damn, man, that's crazy, man. He said, oh, you going back? I'm like, no, man, they finna send my ass to the 4-yard. So now, as we've been sitting up in here talking, he been telling me about all the riffraff and stuff that has been jumping off. I'm thinking I'm going back to the 2-yard. I'm going to the 4-yard, right? And keep in mind, the 4-yard is locked down. They've been locked down for the longest. So actually, I got more action in the hole than I'm gonna get on the 4-yard. At least in the hole, I'm going to the yard 2 or 3 times a week if I want to. We're still going to canteen. There is none of that over there on that 4-yard, right? So pretty soon they come back and get me, take me to the 4-yard. Right now, the only good thing, I got a homie over there, rest in peace, right? At the time, though, my good partner was over there, T-Roll from Colton City Crip. And so he was on the low yard, though. I think the 1, 2, 3 is one building, 2 building, 3 building, and 4 building was the low yard. 5, 6, 7, and 8 was the high yard. So I ended up going to the high yard. So I don't even get a chance to bump into the homie, right? So they take me into a building. As soon as I'm coming in the building, I hear somebody hollering, hey, chill, what's up? I'm looking around. I'm like, man, who is that? He like, man, it's Killer White, man, it's Killer White. So they take me to my cell. I go upstairs. Now, just so happened, the cell that they put me in, he's right downstairs. So we can get in the vent and talk to each other. So after I'm in there for a minute, he hops in the vent like, chill, what's up, homie? You don't remember me? I'm like, no. He was like, man, we was in Ironwood together. I'm like, yeah. He said, yeah, we was in the same building. He told me his name. He said, but I used to go by something else. So he had got out. This dude had got out, went out, stayed out a few months, and got caught up in whatever he got caught up in, and came back with like 175 to life. Now, right before I got there, he had just got back from court. They had took some of the time off, but the dude still had like 85, 90 years to life, man. So as I get up in the cell, I'm in there with a dude by the name of Lunatic or Tick. He was from Northside Gangster Crip in Stockton, 4-4, whatever. So me and him, we got cool. We vibing up in there, so on and so forth, right? But we are still on lockdown. The whole entire black population is on lockdown. I'm telling you, man, the food is horrible. They giving us these mixed up eggs where you pour hot water on the eggs and you make them or whatever. I mean, the food is horrible, man. It's just it was crazy, man, being back on a level 4 after I'd been on a level 3 and a level 2 for a couple of months, right? So and then so now that I'm back on the force, like, okay, I gotta get my mind back in really back in soldier mode, because at that time I had wasn't any lifers going home. And I had a mentality that if you mess with me, I'm gonna get cracking, right? I'm respectful, but on the 4-yard, you still have to get your mind in an entirely different type of psychological condition, because at any point, man, it can go down on that 4-yard, and then when I get back on that 4-yard, and that it's a 180, and that little particular building, it's a whole bunch of youngsters up in there. They kind of running wild, not really knowing what's how to do time. At one point, they trying to program and push a line on this dude from up north because he's not coming to day room. So eventually, when they did start letting us out to day room, it was mandatory that all blacks come to the day room because the Southerners had us outnumbered. I forget the numbers, but this dude is not coming to the day room, right? So the Crips in there want to get him. And so they come get at me and ask me, hey, chill, man, what's up, man? Should we get this dude? Can we get this dude? I said, hey, man, listen, the dude is from the Bay, man. The dude is not no Crip. You guys cannot push your program on this dude, right? But now the Bay Area dudes, they had also stopped messing with the dude because the dude had started saying he was Muslim. So they sent the kite back over here talking about back, to the Crips in the building that I was in, saying, do what you want to do to that dude, man. He ain't our folks. Get that dude, right? So by me saying what I said, that held a little weight with him. And so they kind of like gave the dude a pass for a little bit. Excuse me, but he had a cellie by the name of Black. Black was a Crip. I forget exactly where Black was from, right? Black didn't like him. And so Black used the fact that he wasn't coming to the yard and programming like a soldier. He didn't have to be Crip. He just had to come to the yard and program like a solid Black. So Black used that reason to dirty politic him somewhat and make an excuse to get into a fight with him in the cell. So one day, as I'm down there in the day room doing something, they eventually started fighting and Black beat the brakes up off the dude, right? And so it was just a whole lot going on. Not to mention our next door neighbors who were Southerners, who was cool and used to speak to us. You could tell they was maybe they was the dudes who was making the knives for the building because every night they would be in there sharpening something. It sounded like they had a hacksaw blade up in that motherfucker, right? And sometimes, depending on who your neighbor is or where you're at, certain individuals may try to mask the fact that they're making and sharpening knives or whatever. These dudes gave no fucks. They didn't care. They be in there scraping, and it sounded like, man, they was making some serious, ugly knives up in there. So I told my celly, I said, hey, man, if we ever get into it with the Southerners, man, we first to have to come out and get cracking immediately because we know they got some heavy metal up in there, right? And I ain't talking about the rock band. So eventually, they finally let us out for yard. I forget, maybe it was a couple of months they finally let us out for yard. So now, so due to the fact that I had been locked down on this 4-yard a couple of months, and also before then, I had been in the hole several months waiting for all this stuff, my stabbing charges and all that stuff to see what was going to happen. I had been locked down for quite some time. So now I can't wait to get outside, get me some fresh air, stretch my legs, so on and so forth, right? So now I get out, I go to the basketball court. There's a couple of dudes over there, taking shots or whatever. Then somebody come over there and say, hey, y'all, it was, I forget it. I think it may have been the neighborhood car, but it was 2 black Crip cars that had some problems going on. I forget whatever the situation was, right? So eventually everybody else kind of like push off except for me. Now I'm shooting on the basketball court, and to my left, maybe 25 or 30 feet away, you got all these groups of these Crips and stuff on the wall trying to resolve whatever issue they got going on, right? And so I'm over there, I'm just really, like I said, enjoying just being outside, man. Really, and I should have got somewhere and posted up, right? As I'm over there shooting the ball, all of a sudden they start squabbing. Bing, boop, bop, boop, bop, ding, boop, bop, bop. I don't know what the hell they got going on. I just know it's up. These dudes is over there squabbing. Eventually, the COs see it. They hollering, get down, get down, get down. Now, like I said, these dudes is like 25 feet or maybe 25 yards or whatever it is to my left. Then all of a sudden, the guards in the tower start shooting. Boom, boom. So now, as I start to, I'm looking around because I always look around before I get down, to try to see what's going on and make sure, it's safe enough for me to feel like I can get down, right? You have to make sure that, maybe it's black on black, it's not a racial thing or whatever, because if you get down and it's a racial thing, of course, then you vulnerable. Somebody will come kick your teeth in, stab you, or whatever, right? And so as I'm looking around, about to lay down, something comes over there and hits like by me and stuff. It starts spinning. I'm like, man, what the fuck is this? It's something that the guards have shot, because when they start shooting initially, I'm thinking that they're shooting just the block gun. The block gun is like this little wooden, this little short gun with a big old barrel that shoots these wooden projectiles, right? And if they hit you, I heard they hurt. I haven't got hit with one, right, or shot with one. So, but I heard they hurt, extremely bad. And so whatever this dude has shot is now spinning on the ground like 2 or 3 feet from me. And I'm looking at it because when I was on the 4 yard, I hadn't seen nothing like that. It's probably had been at that point maybe 7, 8 years since I had been on the 4 yard. Yeah, maybe about 8 years because I had been in Ironwood about 8 years. Yeah, from 98 to 2004. So when I left Salinas Valley, they didn't have those, right? Whatever this little thing was. So now as I'm looking at this motherfucker spin on the ground, all of a sudden it blow up. Boom! And so what it's basically, it's like a smoke bomb that, but it was releasing like a mace type gas, And I'm like, damn, what the hell is that? So then once it blow up, I jump up to get away from this motherfucker. So as I get up and I take a few steps, I'm hearing the guard yell, get down, get down. Then I never forget, I had the thought, damn, Shield, you back on the 4 yard, nigga, they will kill your motherfucking ass. So then I slid, right? Because anytime somebody is fighting, and if you get up and you start running and shit, they may feel that you involved, you got a knife or whatever, man, and you are definitely putting yourself at risk to be shot. So once that thought pops up into my mind, I slide like I'm going into third base or something. I slide down, I scrape my knees up, my glasses come off my face, they fly off and they start spinning. I'm like, damn, man. So, they go to shooting. They eventually go over there, get that situation under wraps. And, man, we hadn't been outside 10, 15 minutes when all this shit is going on, right? So now we proned out on the yard and stuff. We out there maybe 2 hours or whatever while they patting everybody down and doing all this type of stuff. And I'm just like, damn, man, I'm right back on the 4 yard on the bullshit, right? So eventually, they get everybody up, escort us back in the cell, lock us black down again. I look at my knees is all scraped up, man, and I'm just thinking, damn, man, that's crazy, man. I'm right back on the 4 yard, right? Because in my opinion, man, the 4 yard, you got a soldier on any yard, but the 4 yard definitely takes a different type of mental preparation just to deal with whatever you dealing with, right? And to keep it 100, man, one of the main reasons, right, why I really didn't want to go back to the 4 yard, because the 4 yard is spontaneous, man. One thing about the 4 yard, it might be cool for 2 years. It might be cool for, 2 weeks. Eventually, something is going to jump off, and it's going to be it's going to be some really heavy knife play and all that old type of stuff, right? I've heard individuals claim they like to do their time. They prefer to be on 4 yards, right? They claim that. I don't know how true it is because, the character of most individuals is different. It's more respect and stuff, as opposed to being on a 3 yard. But when you have something jump off on the 4 yard, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be some serious violence, right? And so, man, me just knowing that at that point I had life, this is 2004. I don't ever expect to get out of prison. So my mind state was, I do my time, I program, I stay out the way. But if somebody comes fucking with me, I'ma definitely try to hurt them before I let them hurt me. And just knowing that the mentality that I had at that time, I'm knowing that I'm back on this 4 yard. I may never get off this motherfucker. No telling what's gonna happen. I was just charged with a stabbing on 2 yard, and by the grace of God, that dude survived, because I was really trying to send that dude back to whoever created him, right? He got very lucky. And so once again, like I say, if you want to hear that story in its entirety, check out Chill versus Goliath Part 1 and Part 2. But I just knew that having the type of mind state that I had, and with the type of activities and things that crack off on a 4 yard, it was no telling if I would ever get off that motherfucker. And I'm thinking, like, this is just crazy because you just left a 2 yard, right? And when I was getting transported over there from the hole to the 4 yard, the guard even said as much. He was like, man, dude, that's crazy, man. He was like, man, you were just on a 2 yard, now you going to the 4 yard. He was like, man, good luck, And so a lot of people want to pretend, to be these warriors and ultimate warriors and things of that nature, man. But honestly, I believe this type of thought process goes through the mind of many, if not all, individuals. I think the only people who don't care about what yard they're going to are the people who have totally 100% gave up hope and don't care. You know, some dudes are looking to end the misery by, you know, possibly being killed on the yard by the guards or whatever, right? So that was my situation right there, man. Anyway, y'all know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.
These niggas ain't who they say they is, so beware. Fuck what they sayin', cause these cowards ain't playing fair. They shoot at you shoot at them, they snitch, and they don't care. Fuck gang banging, I'd rather be a square. Yeah. I swear to God, the game is cold, homie.
What you mean?
I popped on a pussy ass nigga after he stole on me.
What happened next?
That nigga came to court and told on me.
Put that on something.
I sold my soul, homie. Called the highway patrol on me, plus the sheriffs and cops. He told him my name was Eric and I carried a Glock. Soon as you start blowing shots, them niggas going to jail. Don't have a meeting with the cops and then you going to jail. They'll tell him about the shooting, take him, show him his well. DA trying to seal your casket, they gon' throw him the nails. They wanna throw me up in the cell and have me with a L again. Back to strip searchers and guards, read my mail again. Had me far away in the bay, I'm talking Pelican. Eating cold ass soy burgers and warm gelatin. I'm far too intelligent to fall for that twice. Niggas yelling gang gang and ain't about that life. And they'll turn that right in front of your face. Get you found guilty plus 100 years on the case. Your mama in the court with tears running all on her face. Her baby shackled feet, hands and waist.
Goddamn.
These niggas ain't who they say they is, so beware. Fuck what they sayin', cause these cowards ain't playing fair. They shoot at you shoot at them, they snitch, and they don't care. Fuck gang banging, I'd rather be a square. These niggas ain't who they say they is, so beware. Fuck what they sayin', cause these cowards ain't playing fair. They shoot at you shoot at them, they snitch, and they don't care. Fuck gang banging, I'd rather be a square. Yeah. Doing life's no joke, I been where the apes been. You ain't really bout that smoke, you a vape pen. Soon as they catch a joke, in the feds or a state pen. That tough guy shit get shed quick like snake skin. Real and fake men can't exist together. I stay down, you turn snitch, so you a bitch forever. Imagine me snitch never, boy, I stuck to the code. You hit the county for a month, you said fuck it and told. Soon as you heard your bitch Nicole was fucking all of your best friend. The news damn it killed you, nigga, caved your chest in. You told about the murders that y'all did on the West End. Who was popping the burners and the one who said lesbian. Cooperated then, signed an affidavit. Felt your life was over, nigga, you was trying to save it. So you told on Antoine, LaRon, Brian, and David. Came home and half your hood forgave it. Goddamn. These niggas ain't who they say they is, so beware. Fuck what they sayin', cause these cowards ain't playing fair. They shoot at you shoot at them, they snitch, and they don't care. Fuck gang banging, I'd rather be a square. These niggas ain't who they say they is, so beware. Fuck what they sayin', cause these cowards ain't playing fair. They shoot at you shoot at them, they snitch, and they don't care. Fuck gang banging, I'd rather be a square. Yeah.